Hi Libra, this is your horoscope for February 2017. Thank you for joining me. It's really nice to be with you today. Now, on the 4th of February, Venus, your ruler, the planet of love and beauty, it goes into Aries in your 7th house. So you'll immediately notice that you feel a little bit different this month. You'll feel more focused on your needs, what it is you want, your desires, what you're getting out of things. And there will still be a strong focus on relationships, but you're going to approach them a little bit differently. Now, Mars is also sitting in that 7th house. Mars is the archetypal male principle, desire, what I want. It's also in Aries. So you're going to be really, really focused on the relationship side of things. And Uranus too. Uranus is about doing things your own way. So don't expect to be particularly compromising. Don't expect to see everything from someone else's perspective. And people who know you may be a little bit surprised that you're really digging in your heels at times and standing your own ground. Now, on the 5th of February, Jupiter, the lucky planet, goes into retrograde, and that happens in your 1st house, and it stays in retrograde until the 10th of June. Now, Jupiter is an outer planet, so the outer planets retrograde much longer. Jupiter, in this case, 4 months. Other outer planets stay in retrograde 6 months, so it's not as important as the personal planets when they go retrograde, Mercury, Mars, Venus. So the good luck planet is still going to give us good luck, but when it goes into retrograde, it's really a good time to reflect on how you're doing things, to reevaluate, to kind of think about your relationships in particular. And this new energy that's brewing here at the beginning of February is really going to give you a different perspective on how you are in relationships. Am I being too compromising? Am I accepting too much here? Am I being too accepting of things that really are unacceptable? So those kind of thoughts are useful. They're not destructive. They will give you a greater understanding of who you are as a person and what you are like in relationships with other people. Now, on the 7th of February, Mercury goes into Aquarius. That's in your 5th house. And Mercury is the ideas planet. It's the planet of communication. In Aquarius, it is very cerebral. It's very scientific. It's very reasonable, rational. It thinks very clearly. Your midheaven and your sun are also in that 5th house in Aquarius. So you're going to be thinking about who you are in your relationships. But there's also going to be an element of work. How do I feel about my working life? What does this all mean? Am I in the right place at the right time? So you're really somewhat of a thinker, like this month. You're gonna reflect on your life, and really you'll gain some good answers from that process if you engage with it. Now, on the 11th of February, the full moon happens in Leo, and it's also a lunar eclipse. So the full moon, I'll make a separate video on the full moon and the new moon. I always do, because there's a lot of energy that's involved and it can be a bit complicated. So I'll go into more depth in those videos, check those out. But as far as you're concerned, Libra, the full moon happens in, or Libra, as other people call you. The full moon is going to happen in Leo in your 11th house. So you're really going to feel a renewed sense of excitement and enthusiasm about your relationships with other people, friendships, colleagues, romantic partners. It'll all seem more fun. It'll all just seem lighter and more exciting in a way. Also, the eclipse, the lunar eclipse, happens on the north node. So it's about pulling energy in. So this kind of fun Leo energy is going to be with you now for this entire period that the eclipse kind of lingers. Eclipses affect us for about 6 months after they happen. So your social life is going to expand. Also, the North Node is in Virgo. Your understanding and your assessment of people is going to be really good and clear. You can trust that. So you can have fun and avoid possible pitfalls which can come along with expanding your social network. Now, on the 14th of February through until the 1st of March, this is something that's really important, and it's kind of significant. Mars and Pluto start to form a square with each other. So that means they're 90 degrees apart. And Mars is this male kind of I want what I want when I want it kind of energy and principle. Pluto is about genuine transformation and change. And when these two come together and they only square each other once every 2 years, things become unstable because there's so much fire and energy and personal drive and even ego involved that certain structures which have been there for a long time in your life can potentially come undone. Now, the big drive energy is in your sector of relationships, and Pluto sits in the fourth house of family. So there may be a tendency to connect with a relative in the sense of, this is what you've been doing for years and I really don't appreciate it. So the structure as it has been for many, many years will kind of alter and come undone because of your altered perspective. So just make sure that you're clear on what your part in all of this is and whether you want to address it. You have a choice. I mean, there is going to be a certain pull towards confronting things that no longer serve you. It's going to be like a doorway suddenly opens that you never really walk through, which is about me and you sitting down and having it out. So that potentially can be very positive, but remember, if that relationship is the central relationship of your life and there's any risk of things going wrong because you address things, well, think about that clearly. If the stakes are that high, then you need to reevaluate that relationship in any case. You're an individual, you have the right to your opinion, to what's going on with you. We all have that, but just make sure that you don't do it just out of a whim and that there's no productive kind of outcome to it and you're just causing trouble. That's not helpful. Now, also on the 14th of February through until the 9th of March, Mars and Uranus begin to conjunct each other, which means they meet, they sit on top of each other in your 7th house. So this focus and this drive on relationships is going to be even stronger. It's a great time for you to really meet new people, to assert yourself, to alter the landscape of your existing relationship. You're really much more clear and upfront than you usually would be. That energy continues throughout February, and then moving on up until the 26th of February, we've got Mercury going into Pisces. Mercury is in Pisces in your 6th house. You've got Mercury, the South Node, the Moon, the Sun, Neptune, and Chiron, all in Pisces in your 6th house. So you're going to start very much along the lines of how can I make my own health better? What can I do for myself that feels nice? How can I realize my own hopes and dreams? How can I let go of disappointments? And how can I make my day-to-day routine and my experience with myself, living in my own skin, living in my own body, something that's healthier, more positive, and that I feel better about. Also on the 26th, we've got the new moon in Pisces and it's a solar eclipse. Remember solar eclipses, 6 months, the effects last for that amount of time. Now the new moon in Pisces, first of all, pulls that Pisces energy in and you really start to think about your own existence, your own experience, your own body on a much more holistic level. The solar eclipse is on the South Node, so it gives you the ability to detox things that have not worked and to really make positive changes. So there are a million things that we all do to our bodies that aren't ideal and that the papers always tell us about that we shouldn't do and and we all do it anyway. So if you're trying to make positive changes, if you're trying to lose weight or stop smoking or stop engaging in kind of behaviors that aren't particularly helpful to you, that South Node is really a kind of opening that appears that allows you to dump that toxic stuff and to replace it with something more positive and helpful. Nature does not like a vacuum, okay? So when you create a space, it's always filled with something else. So let go of the pills that you take that you think you need to get through the day. Make that space and then replace it with something more helpful that could give you the same kind of sense of ease and comfort. Meditation, for instance, exercise. I know that all sounds very unexciting, but it's really a long-term plan here. This is an opportunity, this eclipse, remember it lasts 6 months, for you to really sort out your health and to, in 6 months' time, really be in a position where you feel much healthier, you have much more energy, and you feel better in your own skin. So the work that you put in now is really going to serve you for a long time, and it's worth doing. So if you would like a private reading with me based on your horoscope, which I can draw up by looking at your place of birth, your date of birth, and your time of birth. We can put the transits around your birth chart and see how this affects you specifically. Then please get in touch with me via my website. It's gregoryscott.com. Click on the readings tab to order your reading with me there. Please remember to subscribe to the channel, and I'll speak to you next month.